Hi, Jules and Mike. Here we are for another video. Today we're going to do the roller, or use the roller. And I just thought we'd use it for a little bit of strength work and a little bit of release work. Knowing your comments from the last couple of videos where maybe we've pushed it a little bit too hard, I'm going to try and really incorporate plenty of stretching and taking into consideration the fact that you might have been sitting more at your desk and you might not be moving quite so much. So we're just going to begin standing. And I want you to take the roller in front of you. I'm going to take my hands onto it. I'm tipping it slightly back. My feet are wide or as wide as the mat. We're just going to do some squats. We'll come down, bring it up. So just getting you moving a little bit. 3, really push your bottom out. No rounding of the shoulders. 5, go to 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And pause. Now a little bit of balance work here. I'm going to take the roller just slightly to the right side of my mat. And we're going to think about balance. So just take your left foot a little further forwards. I'm going to start to hinge forwards and taking my left arm forwards, my right leg back. We just find this little T position. Now I'm using the roller as a little stabilizer. I'll just move back a little to make sure I'm in the shot. And again, we're going to come down. Now, progression from here would be to take that right hand away and bring it forwards. So you're really finding that balance on your single leg, bringing it all the way back. If we can do one more of these, great. So we're going to bring that leg back, both arms forwards, and just hold and breathe here. All the way back down. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. So we'll use the rollers to start off with. I'm going to take my right foot forwards. I'm going to slowly start to hinge, just very light on the roller with my support hand. Taking the left leg back, right arm forwards, and then bringing it all the way back down again. And we'll try again. I'm just going to move this a little further forwards, just very light onto that roller, bringing it back. Really feel on your support leg that you're pulling the seat bone right up towards the ceiling. And if you can, you're going to take that arm away from the roller. And then we'll bring it all the way back down. One more with just balancing, and you're going to bring it all the way down, 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 down. Sorry, we just had Ed in the shot there. And all the way back down, down, down to pause. Now, a little activation of our psoas muscle. So that's at the back. And that can come through our hip flexors. So I want you to hold your roller. Again, it's balance. You're going to pick up a leg. You're going to allow yourself to find balance without hiking that right hip. You're going to place the roller against your thigh, and you're going to push a little down with your hands into that leg. So the position of the leg doesn't change, that is your right thigh bone, and then slowly take a little moment. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. So first of all, we find a balance challenge. Be really careful that you haven't hiked your hip at all. So keep your hips as level as possible. And you're going to take that roller onto your thigh. I'm going to push down. Remember, length through your whole spine throughout. Push down into the roller and slightly up with my thigh. So you can feel your hip flexors working. And don't be ashamed to work your hip flexors. I know you might be thinking, because I've been sitting all day, Jules, perhaps I shouldn't be working them. But no, they are definitely part of our core muscles, so to speak. And again, you're going to bring that first leg up. I'm going to push gently down into the roller and slightly up into the roller without hiking my hip on that right thigh bone. And all the time we've got a balance challenge going on. We're going to do one more on the other side. So first, balance, organize through your center, so really feel that center drawing in and up. Always lengthening through your spine, beautifully lengthened in your shoulders, push a little up with the thigh bone and a little down with your hands. And then slowly we're going to take it all the way down. And we're going to take a little stretch for our middle deltoids now. So it's a little twist with the roller. So take a hold of the roller and I simply want you to bring it over like so. So I can feel that in my right shoulder. Bring it all the way back. And a little twist. So I'm twisting as best I can. Now I can feel that in my left shoulder. And again, a twist. Twisting, so my right to middle, imagine I have a shoulder pad. And that's where I'm getting a little stretch through the middle of that deltoid. And we'll just do a couple more. One to this side. Keep the shoulder blades long and lengthened. And one more to the side. You can take a wider stance if you feel better with that. All the way back. Now you're going to carefully come down, still in warm-up phase, so to speak. And we're going to do a thread the needle. Now I really like this with the foot out to the side. I just feel it stabilizes the pelvis better. So you're going to bring your hands down, the neck is beautifully long. Push your seat bones away from you as though you're sticking your bottom out. And I'm going to take the same side hand as I have leg out reached onto the roller with the palm facing up. And then slowly with length in my spine, and I'm thinking more about length than I am about coming down to the floor. We reach through and then bring it back in. And again, you're going to reach it through and bring it all the way back in. Reach it through. Now you could add a little bit to this if you wished by just taking this arm up. It just gives you a little bit more flow. We reach through, middle back rotators, bring it in and open. We'll do 5, so one more. Reach it through. Now the whole time I'm really sticking my bottom out, all the way back in and open it up. Slowly from there, we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So make sure when you take this foot out that your big toe is not in front of your knee. So you want the alignment to be absolutely correct. Knee, big toe. If your knees bother you at all, Mike, if you need a little bit more cushioning, fold your mat over a couple of times. And then we're going to bring it all the way down again. Watch the hands aren't too close towards the knees. So especially when you're taller, Mike, you might want to take the hands a little further forwards. Very, very long, lengthened tailbone. Although, still remember to draw that center lightly in. Back of the new hand comes on and we reach it through. So just listen to your back initially. 2 just in this nice, simple initial version. Are you breathing? So maybe breathe out, 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 out. And perhaps as you bring it in, you could inhale, inhale, inhale. And again, we've got 2 more, reaching it through and all the way back. And open, 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 open. Push that floor away. You've got 1 more, reaching it through and slowly bringing it all the way in and open, open, open to the side. Perfect. And all the way back down. So now we're going to think about just awakening the core muscles. And we're going to do that with a little plank. So I want you to begin with your hands onto your roller. And when you've got your hands like so, just be really careful of your wrists. I'm very aware of your wrists, Jules, that we don't obviously overweight there or make them overly uncomfortable. So just be careful that you don't go into an extension where you're pulling the hand too far back. So try and just really be careful of this position here, almost taking the hands a little further forwards. Now, if necessary, you could always do this on the floor. So Jules, if the unstable surface doesn't work for you, you could always do this, as I say, on the floor without the roller. So all we're going to do, and we can do it just sort of by stages, shoulder blades beautifully stable, nice long neck. Take a wide full inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, take 1 foot back and then the other foot back. You're just going to hold for a couple of breaths. Big inhale and exhale, and bring one leg down and the other leg down. So perhaps we'll be able to do that with the knees a little further back, taking both legs up at the same time. So I'm going to take my weight a little forward so that I'm not back like so. It's a disadvantage at the beginning. Inhale to prepare, tuck both toes under and just push up. So immediately we can feel those core muscles firing. You take a nice big breath and then slowly bring it back down. We're going to do 2 more of these. Inhale into the back and the base of the lungs. As you exhale, automatically those core muscles should fire. So just feel that the abdominal wall is very definitely lightly engaged, drawing those low stomach muscles away from your clothing. And we're just going to do 1 more now. Remember the nice positioning of your shoulders. Wide full inhale to prepare. As you exhale, pushing up, really almost push that roller away from you. So very important that the upper body is working as well. And then very slowly, you're going to bring it all the way down and take a little moment. Make sure that your wrists feel okay. If you need to just circle them around a couple of times, then please do. Okay, let's go into opening further your hips and stretching out the psoas in the back. Again, really important if you've been sitting a lot. So we use the roller as a little support. I'm going to take 1 foot forwards. Roller is just as it is, like so. Or you could maybe take it a little bit more this side. It's really entirely up to you. Play about with it. If centered isn't good for you, maybe a little to the outside edge of the foot that you have in front. Now slowly from there, I'm just going to have my other hand just gently on top right now. I'm going to push down a little with my arms, coming forwards a little, almost into this lunge position. Now slowly from there, I want you to really focus on this back leg. Be careful of the position of your head, and you're going to slightly tip your hips backwards. So you're going to slightly go into a posterior tilt, a backward tilt of your pelvis, whilst you're in that forward position, pushing gently down. Now if you can, you're then going to bring your other arm up, and you're going to come up and over whilst in that subtle posterior pelvic tilt, and just make sure that your head doesn't drop down too far away from your arm. Bring it all the way back, and then bring yourself back a little so you release out of that. So let's try that again. A little bit of stability initially with both hands on. I'm going to come a little further forwards into the lunge. Press down gently into both hands. Tip the hips back a little. Bring my other arm all the way up. And then a lateral flexion across to the side. Feeling that lovely stretch. And then all the way back and down. And release by bringing it back. Now we're going to take that back leg, and just be careful, especially of your knees, Mike. And I'm going to go into a little external rotation. So the back knee has gone from parallel, or straight forwards, to a little out to the side. So we're going to repeat this again. We come forwards a little and pressing down gently into the roller. I'm going to tip the pelvis a little backwards, going into that posterior pelvic tilt. Bring the arm all the way up and come up to come over. So remember, you're still slightly tipping forwards. I think going this way. And hopefully there you'll feel that a little bit more through the inner thigh. Release it back a little. 1 more. Bringing it forwards. Tip the hips a little backwards. Bring that arm up and come up to come over. Be careful that the head doesn't drop too low. Feeling that stretch, maybe a little bit more into the inner thigh region, all the way down, bringing it back. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So remember, if the knees are bothering you, reduce the reps, get a little bit of padding, just take a break for a minute, whatever works best for you. Bringing your foot forwards, And then from there, I'm going to lightly have my hand just so that we've got good alignment, ankle, knee and hip socket, no twisting of your hips. Find yourself coming a little forwards, a little backward pelvic tilt almost, which really opens my hip that little bit more, bringing that arm up and then laterally flexing to the side. Remember, we do something very similar on the reformer with the standing lunge at the beginning, with the knee on the carriage, and then bring it back just to release. And again, bringing it forwards. Think about pressing down into both hands, shoulder blades depressed, and you're going to just tip the hips a little backwards, bring that arm all the way up, and come up to come over. Using that roller just to assist with your stability. Be careful of the alignment of this right leg, and all the way back, and release. So from here, we're going to come into a little bit of an external rotation with this now back leg. Be careful that you still maintain good alignment through the front leg. Again, as we come forwards a little, to press the hands down, little backward pelvic tilt, arm comes up, come up to come over. And play about in it. If you need to lunge a little more, pelvic tilt a little more, up to you. All the way back and releasing it for a second. So just one more, coming forwards, feel that lunge, press down gently into both hands, tip the hips back a little, bring the arm up, and then laterally flex across to the side. Holding and breathing. All the way back and down. Perfect. So we're going to prepare our legs for a moment. We're going to take a little roll out of the shins, which is incredibly good for us, especially if you're running at all or walking a little bit more. And then we're going to work on our quads, giving them a little roll out as well. So we're going to begin with the roller round about the knees, and I'm going to come down onto my elbows. And then slowly from there, we're just going to roll and bring it back. So maybe a good start position. Have the elbows just a little beneath your shoulders, if not a tiny touch further forwards of the elbows. And then as I start to roll the roller down the shins, I'm almost tucking my tail a little. So it's a little bit of an abdominal exercise as well. No rounding of your shoulders, Mike. So be really careful that you don't go into that sort of hunched position. Try and keep your upper body really stable. Pull the roller up the shins, down the shins. Or maybe that's down the shins. Maybe this is up the shins. And again, bringing it up, pushing it away. The further forwards those elbows go, the more challenging this is going to be. So maybe bring those elbows back a little, and that will make life a little bit easier for you. Up and down. Now curl the tail and down. I'm flattening out my feet, just getting a little massage as well, and then bring your knees all the way down. Quite tough. And so now we're going to go into our quads. Such a lovely, lovely, delicious massage here. So exactly the same, you're going to position the roller round about base of pubic bone. I'm going to take my elbows much further forwards. Be careful your back doesn't flatten, so find the stomach muscles, bring them towards the ceiling, and just roll down and bring it back. Such a lovely, lovely exercise. And just be careful that you are not going too close into the kneecap. So you really are just above the kneecap to begin. And then we can go into one side, inner thigh, one side, outer thigh. That's one option. Switching it around, like so. Keep those shoulders nice and soft all the time. Or you can go into both externally rotated, and that gives you both of the inner thighs at once. And then you can go into externally rotated, so that you've now got both outer thighs at once. Really lovely, delicious massage. And massage. And just one more massage. And pause. Now from there, it's a nice little prep. Hips have been nicely opened so that we can come down into our extension work, our swan. So come down onto your tummy. The legs should be feeling much more alive, and you're going to bring the roller in front of you. Now from here, we're just going to begin with a few little shoulder shrugs. So just play about with the positioning of the roller. You want to make sure that you can actually move it, okay? So don't have it sort of too far down that you're stuck. So I'm maybe just around about the wrists and my thumbs are up. The nose hovers ever so slightly away from the mat. And I want you to really think about the length through your thigh bones. Be careful that your feet are not too wide apart. And all I want you to do is lengthen your sacrum, prepare your center to always think about just very mild engagement of the center. And then you're going to reach your shoulders upwards towards the ears, and then pull the shoulder blades down away from the ears. So it's like a little shoulder shrug up, and then a little shoulder to press down. So what we're actually doing is an elevation, you might feel that in the armpit, and a depression of the shoulders. You can also do this when you're lying on a roller and bringing it down. We'll just do one more, reach them up and pull them down. Now from there, you're going to take the roller a little further up the wrist towards the elbow, just a touch. Again, make sure that you are prepared in your center. You're going to reach forwards a little, depress the shoulders, elevate the back of the head, and start to shorten that middle upper back, always thinking about length in your spine. If you want to come down onto the palm, you can, and bring it all the way back down again. So reach up initially, and then as you depress the shoulders, you're going to slowly lengthen, pause. Imagine that your hands were onto that foot bar, on the reformer. Bottom ribs would be in, sacrum long. If it feels okay, you come that little bit higher up. Now watch the position of your wrists, Jules. So again, don't overextend them. And again, bringing it back down. Let's try it a couple more. So reach forwards, draw them down, and with flow, bringing it all the way up, 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 up. If your wrists are bothering you, Jules, keep it onto the little pinky finger. And all the way down. You can keep your legs closer than mine are. You can play about with that. If it niggles the back, just take the legs a little wider. So you're bringing it up, 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 and then all the way back down. Perfect. Now we can take the roller and just kind of play about with it a little in this position. So you're going to just hold it for a second, and you're going to take the roller and lift it, and you're going to reach it a little away from you, and you're going to bring it a little towards the head. You're going to reach it a little away from you and a little towards the head. So I'm barely, at any point, am I lifting my head, neck and chest too high, otherwise it might go into your neck. We'll just do one more. Reach it and bring it all the way back. Let it come down, let your shoulders relax. And now I want you to take the roller behind you. And just make sure that you have enough room. And again, very much just thinking about extension of your spine. You're holding on to the ends of the roller. You're going to elevate the head ever so slightly. You're going to lengthen your sacrum, prepare the center. And you're going to just lift your head, neck and chest up a little away from the mat. Now you're going to elevate the roller a little away from your bottom. And I want you to draw your shoulder blades ever so slightly towards each other. And then from there, maintaining this extended position of your spine, maybe this is enough for you. See if you could lift the roller a little, lower it a little. Lift the roller a little, lower it a little, lift it a little, lower it a little, lift it a little, lower. We'll do 3 more. Keep that length in the spine, keep that center active. We've got 1 more. Lift it a little, draw those shoulder blades a touch towards each other and all the way down. And then just take your roller, place it out of the way, and we're going to stretch the back out by pushing all the way up. Bring your knees underneath you and just take yourself into a stretch that works well for you. That might be taking your hands to one side. So you're going to just up and over to one side. Something that might be more comfortable is to take your knees a little wider when you're doing this. Taking the hands to one side, then my opposite seat bone comes up and over my opposite heel. Really feeling that stretch. Hands come to the other side and up and over that opposite heel with your seat bone. And then slowly from there, just stretch out however works best for you. Reset low back, middle back, upper back, eyes. If that stretch hasn't loosened off the low back, perhaps a little box position, curling the tail. Remember, if you were doing a cat, it would be your belly button, bottom ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs, and pushing the head and tail away with an emphasis on your upper middle back. And again, just curling the tail all the way back, 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 back. And a little pushing away. Perfect. So from all that extension in swan, we're now going to go into extension up and over the roller. So position the roller behind you, sitting beautifully tall. Draw your hip bones lightly backwards until you can come down and find yourself round about base of shoulder blades, there or thereabouts. We're going to clasp the hands behind the middle skull and just maintain all the time, if you can, that neutral position. So be careful your back neither flattens overly so, which will be quite difficult when you're extending. But also remember that your low back finds it easiest to extend, that's to shorten. So your focus is much more on your middle upper back extending. So make sure that you're comfortable, Mike in particular. If you've got a muscle mass there, just be really careful that you're not uncomfortably positioned. And then whenever you're ready, with my elbows a little more towards each other, I'm going to lengthen first, organize through the center, and then with that length, I'm going to wrap up and around the edge of the roller. So, so nice. Little bit of length at the back of the neck, and pick your head, your neck, your chest all the way back up again. And again, first we lengthen. So always think lengthen first. Never allow your chin to push up. I'm almost bringing my chin a little towards the chest throughout. And with that length, we then visualize the shortening of the middle upper back. Watch the elbows and all the way back up, back up, back up. We'll do just a couple more here. So you're going to lengthen first, wrap up and around and around and around. Really feel that lovely stretch. And then all the way back, 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 back. And we're just going to do one more. So really feel that length first. Always think lengthen. After you've organized through the center, we lengthen and then we start to come up and over. And then slowly from there, a little bit of length at the back of the neck, pick your head, your neck, your chest up. Watch that the roller isn't too high up your back. And I'm now just going to do a little supine spine twist, a little across to one side. Bring it back through center. A little across to the other side. Back through center. So the upper body remains stable. If you were more comfortable, you might want to take your arms down. Don't be too fussy. Just remember that your low back, your lumbar spine, isn't really supposed to rotate. So that's not what's rotating right now. This is your lower thoracic spine, your low back rotators. To the side, we kind of forget them a little bit, and to the side. Now, back through center again. Make sure the roller is in a comfortable position. And we're now going to add a little bit of rotation to this. So I cannot stress enough. If your low back isn't just always acting as a stabilizer, you're going to get discomfort into it. So if we lose the ability to move within our thoracic spine, so that's where all the movement should happen, if that gets blocked and sticks and we don't move as we should, then your low back starts to be pulled into rotations and lateral flexions that we shouldn't really be asking it to do. Hence this importance to really keep this middle upper back moving. So this is a really good version of this extension work. So now in the same start position, remember, find the center, stabilize. I want you to now allow yourself to just rotate to one side. So we're going to rotate a little to one side, and then I'm going to come into that extension. So I've rotated to my left, and then I come into extension, all the way back up. You can come back to center. So I'm going to rotate first, like a little spine twist, then come up and over, in that rotation, all the way back, and back through center. And again, rotate, then into extension. Remember all the principles, not letting the low back, not letting your opposite hip. Keep the range small if it's a little alien to you. All the way back and back through center. And now we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to rotate just the middle back, not taking my hips with me. Mike, if it's difficult for you, put one of the balls in between your knees. So we've rotated to the right, and then we come up and over in extension. And then all the way back and find center. And again, rotate first, and then you're going to come up to come over. And all the way back and center. So make sure that that roller isn't creeping up your back too far. I really want you to feel this. A middle back rotation first, stable from the waist down, no pulling on the head, no tipping your head back. And then go into that lovely extension. So it's a rotation with extension. All the way back and come all the way back to center. Now this next one, to see how you get on, if you can, you're going to come back through extension again and see just how far you can get your head down. Length at the back of the neck, pick the head, neck and chest up. If you feel quite comfortable, this time I'm going to lengthen and I'm going to see if I could take my arms back. The arms come up first, little bit of length at the back of the neck and bring it back up. If this is too challenging for your neck extensors, flexors, do this exercise with one hand behind your head. The arm would come up first, little bit of length at the back of the neck, pick your head, neck and chest up. We'll try that one more time. Inhale, wide and full. Remember, connect through your center first of all. Find the lengthened position. Then I'm going to allow my arms to come all the way back with the head. Arms first. Length at the back of the neck. And slowly finish it off, coming all the way back up. Carefully, however works best for you, bring it all the way back, back. If it feels nice, you can take a little stretch forwards. You might want to take a hold of the toes, the ankles, the calves. If you are stretching, can you pull your seat bones back? As a matter of principle, when you're coming forwards, pull the seat bones back behind you. Now, from here we're going to go into a little bit of bridge. So maybe the transition will be better done with the roller between the bottom and your heels. Come carefully all the way down. Kick that roller in towards your bottom. We're going to use the roller. If hamstrings take over and you get very crampy in your hamstrings, just ditch the roller and have the feet flat onto the floor. Don't want your feet too wide. And then you're going to take your feet and you're going to position them onto the top of the roller. Now your arms are going to be down by your sides. And just feel the flatness of the palms, feel the connection of your arms into the floor, how wide your collarbones are, the level nature of the sacrum, the bottom ribs gently drawn in. And all I want you to do slowly from here is to come straight up, all the way up, pause, and come straight back down again. Watch those ribs. And again, careful of your shoulders, straight up, and straight back down. Now be careful, Mike, here, of your chin pushing straight up towards the ceiling. If you can, really try and get that length in the back of your neck. And again, are you even on both feet as you come straight up and straight back down? Now on this next one, you're going to come straight up and I want you to hold it up here. So remember, we thought about our little seat bones, so you can kind of feel them under there. Currently they're like little dipped headlights. And I want you to take those headlights and spin them into full beam. So effectively I'm trying to lengthen through my low back by drawing my seat bones away. And then come straight back down. And again, we're going to lift up into full beam with those seat bones and straight back down again. And on this next one, we're going to bring it up and pause. And then slowly from there, we'll see if you can take your feet a little further away and then bring them back in. So you can take them away, you can point a little, back in and flex the ankles. Forwards to point a little, back in to flex. Point a little, now trying to keep that bottom up all the time. Last one, point and back into a flexed ankle. Lift it straight up and articulate all the way back down. Just push the legs out for a moment, stretch the arms out. We're not quite done. You can really feel the back of the body working there. Arms all the way back down by your sides. Bring it back. Neutral spine. Watch for the foot positioning. So just gently on top of the roller. Open collarbones, bottom ribs in. Organize your center as you come straight back up. Now simply from here, imagine that there is a soft ball in between your knees. You may even, if you're going to repeat this on a few occasions during the week, you might put a soft ball in there. And you're going to imagine squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Really feel that those thigh bones are pushing together, release, push together, release. Really focus on an activation of your inner thighs. Remember those little seat bones, they are into that full beam. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. We'll do two more and one more. Pause there, arms all the way back, and just lay the bones down, 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 down. Lift one leg up, lift the other leg up. You can hug in. You might even circle your thigh bones around and back, around and back. And going the other way, if it's nicer for you to flex even your spine, it's entirely up to you. Whatever feels good to you. Maybe a release is just quite literally doing nothing. Maybe just holding and breathing feels nice to you. And from there, we're going to reach the roller away. Arms come back. Bring the arms up. We're going to do one roll up. So I'm going to flex my ankles. Inhale as I lift head, neck and chest. Send that sacrum away from you, all the way back up, back up. Now, pull the seat bones back. And again, a little stretch forwards if it feels good to you. So really feel that lovely stretch. And then slowly restep low back, middle back, upper back and eyes. Now from there, just kick your roller in. Just going to take every opportunity I can to get into your middle upper back. And from here, we're going to go straight into a little rotation again. One that we always do on the reformer with the long box, sitting on the long box, shins against your foot bar. You could put a ball in between your knees again. I want you to feel those seat bones anchored down. As we draw one elbow back, other fingertips reach forwards. The outstretched arm comes back, both thumbs come up. Now really think lengthen your spine as you pull the shoulder blades apart and look towards that back arm. Bring it all the way back. Palms face down, elbow, fingertips, arm. Let's keep the flow, thumbs up. Squeeze the ball, pull the shoulder blades a little apart. And as you grow taller, pull it back, all the way back around. Bringing it back down. And again, elbow, fingertips. As the arm comes out, both thumbs are up. Pull the shoulder blades apart. Can you sit super, super tall? And then bringing it all the way down and back. Elbow, fingertips, arm, thumbs. Pull the shoulder blades apart. No twisting of your knees. Those knees should be absolutely anchored. And looking towards that back. Arm all the way back. And bringing it down. And then slowly from there, just bring the arms up. And bring them back down. Just bringing them up and bringing them back down. So leaving the roller in this position, we're going to lie on it for a moment and take a little continuation of those shoulder exercises. So pop your tail just to the very edge. The feet come forwards. You can take the hands back, sit as tall as you possibly can. A little challenge, arms come up. Curl the tail a little underneath you, and then all the way back up. Now, if it's too tender for you, you could quite literally just do a little hinge and bring it back. So a hinge should take away a little bit of that tenderness and back. And again, bringing it back. And if you can, then go into the articulation all the way back down, down, down. And pause. Bring your feet a little bit closer towards your bottom. Now, I'm just going to move my roller a tiny touch more to the center. Make sure that you have your head fully onto the roller, that you're tall, obviously, Mike, so you don't want to have the edge of the roller sticking into the middle of your skull. Maybe take a towel, a rolled up towel, put it underneath your head, Mike, because you want to try and have your forehead level with your chin. You don't want to see yourself like so, okay? So try and just keep that head so that it's in a really lovely position. Obviously, Jules, watch out for ponytails and things, that they don't give you a false sense of center. So with your arms down by your sides, you're just going to begin by bringing your arms all the way up. Now really focus on almost the tiny tip back of the hip bones, so you can feel the sacrum and the connection of the bottom ribs. And all I want you to do here is take the palms so that they face, and take your arms all the way out to the side, just hovering away from the mat and no more. Bringing it all the way back, and again, all the way out to the side, all the way back. On this next one, out to the side, pause. Make two fists, and you're just going to pull the fists a little forwards. So that gives you a stretch through the top of your hand, especially if you've been working on a mouse all day, Jules. It's quite a nice stretch. And then just reach the fingertips out, and you can pull the fingertips down a little towards the floor, back through center, and then some flamenco wrists. A couple one way, and then 2 or 3 going the other way. Just really get every finger, every part of the wrist involved in that circular motion, and pause. Bring it all the way back up again. Palms are now going to face away from you. And I want you just to take those elbows out to the side and really feel that lovely stretch. You will feel that your shoulder blades hug around the roller, and then you're going to bring it back up again. We'll just do 3 more of these, bringing it down as far as you can, and all the way back up. And again, really keep thinking about length. You organize your center first, then lengthen the spine. One more. Out to this side and all the way back. Now from there, I just want you to take the palms so that they face backwards. And you're going to take your arms all the way back behind you. Sorry, thumbs face backwards, palms face each other. Take them all the way back behind you and all the way back. And all the way back behind you and all the way back. Now from there, if you can, one goes overhead, one goes down by your side. Overhead, down by the side. Overhead, down by the side. And then pause, we're going to make it more challenging. Now the palms face back. And so now we've got one palm facing up on the side closest to the hip, and the other palm is trying to face down over our head. No change in the palm position, just switch the arms. Switch and switch. And I want you just to keep moving, but be careful, those thigh bones are not moving. You've ever so slightly tip the hip bones backwards, maybe just a touch, to get the nice flat connection of your sacrum. And we'll just do a couple more. And you're going to pause, palms come all the way back again. Take them all the way back with the palms facing up towards the ceiling, and now out to the side. I'm creating a little bend in the elbow just to get a bigger stretch through the front of the chest. And again, out to the side, tiny little bend into the elbow as we come up and over. One more each way, all the way down, 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 and all the way out to the side. Just really enjoy that opening through the front of the chest. And on this next one, all the way out to the side, and just leave them down by your sides. So from there, stability is what we're looking for here. And we're going to keep the arms by our sides, possibly elbows are off. Maybe you're just the palm, maybe you're just the fingertips. Maybe you're all the way up to the elbow because you need a little bit of extra stability. And you're going to slowly, on an exhale, pick one leg up to bent knee. Lower it back down again, and we'll pick the other leg up to bent knee. So your job here, I want you to think about yourself, your body, your legs, a little bit like a digger. And so the main body of the digger, that's got the tracks on it, or the wheels, that's the engine and the driver, all the main components of the center of the digger. So that, if you're going to dig something, you move the center to the point of the work. So in other words, I want you to move that digger center into a position that it is ready for work. And once you're organized in the center, then you think about the limb, which is rather like the extendable arm. And then we start to move, and only then start to move the limb once the center is in place and beautifully secure. A digger's main body wouldn't move while the arm was working. So you're always trying to keep yourself centered prior to the movement of the legs. Now on this next one, we're going to pick up one, we're going to pick up the other. If you can, glue those legs together, maintaining the angle behind the knees all the time. Just organize your center, and now take both feet towards the floor and back up. So now we can really feel those core muscles working. And back up. Be careful that you don't let your chin push up towards the ceiling. I'm only going as far as I can maintain my back shape. Towards and bringing it back. And we'll just do a couple more towards the floor. Glue those legs together and all the way back. Last one, towards the floor and all the way back up. Now slowly from there, take one foot down, taking your other foot down, and we're going to do a little bit of chest lift just to stretch out. So we'll bring our arms all the way back behind, clasp them behind the middle skull, and we lift the head, neck and chest up. So from here you can really get this lovely feeling of lengthening of that upper middle back. Lay the bones sequentially back down. Squeeze an imaginary ball between your knees, lifting, 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 and lowering everything back down. Let's do a couple more. Tiny bit of length at the back of the neck, never pulling on my head. If anything, resting the head a little into the hands and really thinking about knitting the ribs together. Remember, prepare that center before you even consider moving. Lift the head, neck and chest and bring it all the way back down. So one last little exercise. You're going to lift one leg, you're going to lift the other, and you're going to think about a little bit of single leg stretch. So we'll reach one away, bring it back in, reach the other way. Now remember, you don't think about moving your limbs unless the center is prepared for it. Think about the digger visualization. And if you can, you'll exchange them mid-air. So we reach and we reach, making it more difficult by taking those elbows off. Stabilize the shoulders, breathe into the back and the base of the lungs. Now one thing I want you to be really careful of here is you don't let the weight of your legs, so to speak, go into your tail. So try not to let your tail get really heavy here. If it's easier, you could do this with your head, neck and chest up. But the weight stays more towards the waistband side of your pelvis than the tail of your pelvis. And that will determine how low you take your legs. You can take the head back down and pause. Last exercise on the roller. You're going to reach those legs up now. Really pull those seat bones down. If this is tricky, stay in bent knee, and you could just take one foot down, bring it up, and the other foot down, bringing it up. But if you can, the legs are as straight as possible, and we take one down. Now remember that tail. Do not let your tail overly drop. Bring it back up. The other leg, tail does not get too much weight into it. Are you taking this in your neck? Do you need to lift your head, neck and chest up a little to try and get it out of the neck? More challenging probably to keep your head down. And you should feel your abdominals working. We'll just do one more each side. Keep that tail up. Don't overly weight into the tail. Last one and back up. Bend the knees, place one foot down, place the other down, relax your shoulders, and maybe just let your head roll to one side. Back through center as you breathe, rolls to the other side, and back through center. We'll just do one more each side, to the side, and back, and to the side, and back. Now you can either just slip off to the side, or lift head, neck and chest, pull the hands back, and push yourself all the way back up. So we're going to do a little plank now. And so we're going to keep this core working. So we're nearly done. And I want you just to think about, again, form. We'll keep it nice and easy. If you're getting tired and you don't want to add the progressions, please don't. Keep them for another day, or just don't do them at all. But we're going to begin with our elbows onto the roller. Now I'm just going to make sure that I've got plenty of mat behind me. Now I'm going to come down like so, so that I'm coming into what is effectively a little modified plank position. And don't mind if your feet are slightly tucked under, that's fine. But your collarbones are beautifully open. Now be really careful that you don't drop your hips right down here. So you're going to have your hips elevated slightly, collarbones open. Remember, organize from the center first. And to make this slightly more challenging now, we're just going to allow ourselves to lift up a tiny touch and drop down a tiny touch. Lift up a tiny touch. So this is really my pelvis. I'm not curling my tail at all. Can you notice how the shape of the back is pretty much staying the same? So watch that you don't overly curl your tail underneath you. And again, we lift up a little and we lower back down a little. We lift up a little. You should definitely feel your abdominals, low abdominals working here. Lift up a little, lower down a little. One more. Lift and lower. Now maybe you need a break, but if you don't need a break, we're going to make it slightly more challenging. Now I'm going to bring my knees just a little further towards me so that the weight is always going forwards. Don't want you to be kind of back here. And if you can from there, you're going to pop both legs up to straight and hold it here. That might be enough for you. This is quite challenging. But if you can, you're going to lift up a little and you're going to lower down a little. Now when I lower down, I don't want to just curl my tail underneath me. I lift up a little and lower down. Watch those shoulders. No going into your shoulders, Mike. Lift up a little, lower just one more. Lift up a little and lower. Bring your knees down and slowly from there, bringing it in. Take a little stretch now. Always nice, I think, to do that with a slightly wider knee. You can stretch it out. You can feel some extension in your back there. And bring it back up. And stretch it out a little. And bring it back up. So there's flexion of the spine and extension of the spine. It's a lovely stretch for the shoulders as well. We'll just do a couple more. Reach out and bringing it back up. And if you don't like the wider knee, you don't have to have a wide knee. Now, from here, we're just going to wind it down a little bit. And I want you just to massage, to learn to massage areas that really do get incredibly tight, especially if you're sitting. So the ribs get incredibly tight. I want you to position the roller just beneath the armpit, okay? You can have your hands behind your middle skull if you wish, and that's probably the more challenging of the two if it's too tender for you. And Jules, I'm very aware here of kind of trauma that you've had to this underarm area. So if it's just not doable, please just bypass it. You don't need to do it, or maybe just very gentle pressure. It's up to you. But if you can, you're just going to bring this forwards and then you're going to let it come up and back. So you're going to bring it forwards and let it come up and back. So there's a little bit of middle back rotation going on here. If you find that this top leg wants to be a little further down because the back feels it, I really don't mind. Ideally a stacking of the knees, rolling and rolling across. So I'm not actually taking my back all the way onto the flat back. I'm just massaging to a point that I can maintain some degree of rotation with good form. Play about with it. Play about with the positioning of it. Maybe a little lower down feels a little bit more doable. But very definitely we're revisiting that rotation with a little bit of a lat massage. Let's try the other side. So taking it down and we'll go again. So from here you're not in the armpit, but maybe start in the armpit, bring it a little further down, and again massage and open. So remember, stiffness in the ribs, really, really common if we're doing an awful lot of sitting. You don't need to go as quickly as I'm going. Remember that leg could be a little further down if it feels more comfortable for you. Massage and back, and massage and back. One more. Really feel that lovely rotation and back. Now, just while we're here, again with the massage, I want you to take it to about the base of your shoulder blades, clasp the hands behind the middle skull, watch out for hair, bringing your feet a little closer. You're going to tip the hips a little backwards, lift the hips up and start to massage that middle upper back. Now, really advise you here to bring those elbows a little bit closer. Massage and massage. Now keep the hips up, be careful you're not rounding the head all the time forwards. You can, if you're feeling brave, come lower down in towards the lumbar spine. If it's uncomfortable, that's always a sign to stop. But you can go down in towards that lumbar spine. If it doesn't feel good, please don't do it. And you can always tip a little to one side of the spine, tip a little to the other side of the spine, giving yourself just this little bit of a treat for your back. Make sure it feels good. If it doesn't feel good, please don't do it. And on this next one, just pause at about the base of the shoulder blades, bringing it down. Got a tiny little bit more massage for you by just jumping up onto the roller. Allow yourself to feel somewhere between your sticky out hip bone and down where your greater trochanter sticks out. So you've got this kind of sticky out hip bone, greater trochanter, and then the top of your hip bone. And there's a fleshy part in between there. Now again, if your wrists are sore, Jules, come down like so. But from here, I just want you to go a little into that fatty bit. So it's more towards the edge of the bottom, round about the glutes, the piriformis region, there or thereabouts. Play about with it. And then from there, you're going to go a little from side to side. So just a little, and if that's easier done on your elbow, just play about side to side. If that doesn't feel so good, don't do it. And again, just think about where you're, and notice I'm keeping that leg up all the time. Pause, careful with transitions. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So bringing it around, and from there, just feeling for that greater trochanter hip bone, sticky out hip bone as well, thigh bone, hip bone, and we're just going to massage. So again, play about with either hand or elbow, just whatever feels good to you. Move around on it. If it feels a little tender, that's okay. Massage, keep breathing all the time. Massage and massage. And then from there, get it where it started, and we go a little from side to side. So side to side. Make sure you're not too much on the bony bits. Make sure you very definitely aren't the fleshy bits. And again, up to you, the position of the leg that is outstretched, and pause. Slowly bringing it all the way back to seated. If you can from here, just be careful of your knees. You're going to push all the way back up. And then from there, we'll just do a little tiny lateral flexion to finish. Bring one arm up. And slowly from there, trying to keep your head close to your arm. Just imagine that every one of your ribs could pull apart as you bring it across. You could let your eyes drop down and just let this underside arm feel heavy. You could hold the wrist. You could pull a little. You could hip sway a little in towards that stretching side. Bring it back through center. Baby rotation of the upper middle back towards the floor and back, and a baby rotation towards the ceiling. Back and all the way back. And we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So the arm comes up. Try initially to keep the head close to the arm and start to pull the ribs one at a time apart, coming over, 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 over. Then the eyes can look down, the arm can just feel heavy, holding and breathing. And if you feel it's okay for you, hold the wrist. No rounding forwards of the upper back. Hip sway a little into your stretching side. So if you're going to the left with the arms, you're stretching, leaning into the right. Then bringing it back so you have an evenness of weight on both feet. A little rotation towards the ceiling. Back to center, a rotation towards the floor. Back through center, all the way back up, and bring it all the way back down. And then just lift all the way up, and bring it down. Lifting all the way up, and bringing it back down, and just circle and circle. I really hope that you enjoyed that. Keep giving me feedback, Jules, by email. I hope I've pitched something or somewhere that is useful after a day at the office, at home. And I hope you stay fit and well and keep in touch. Look forward to the next video. Take care.